Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ghost here with another edition of True Conservative Republican Radio. And I'm glad you're tuning in with us this evening. It's Sunday evening. It's the beginning of a new week, so hopefully everybody's ready for the Monday morning blues, and hopefully you can chime in on some of the things we're going to discuss this evening. At first, when I listed this particular show, I said it was going to be a free format show and just kind of whatever goes, whatever happens, just happens. But I've been patronizing, like I've stated previous, a lot of blog talk radio shows, and I resent the fact that you hear a lot of people, specifically on the left of the political persuasion, trying to insinuate that the Republicans are a bunch of racists. As a matter of fact, I've had countless emails claiming that I'm some sort of a racist and that sort of thing. But before I get to that, I just wanted to underscore something that I stated last night. I made some pretty harsh remarks against the Republican Party last evening because of the fact that the Republican Party is embracing social liberalism. And I had a ton of emails stating, you know, why am I talking against the party and this and that. Well, you know what, I'm not abandoning the party. Okay, I'm a Republican, but I'm conservative first and foremost. And my tirade last evening just basically stipulated that, look, we're embracing social liberalism as a Republican Party. I remember that the conservative movement, the social conservatives of the party was the base, was the root of the Republican Party, and I was just basically maybe I was off my rocker or whatever the case might be, but hey, I'm just tired of the Republican Party embracing social liberals. And the majority of the people on the right that are running for the presidential nomination, are social liberals, unapologetic social liberals. And it just sickens me that, you know, a true conservative Republican like Duncan Hunter can be just shut out of every Republican. Well, he wasn't shut out of every Republican debate, but some of the latter ones that were most important, he was shut out. He was shut out, and they allowed somebody like this ridiculous Ron Paul character that I'm sick and tired of mentioning, sick and tired of seeing, but they let this man get on the public Republican forum to spew off his garbage, and yet they could shut out a true conservative Republican like Duncan Hunter, and that's just what's upsetting me. That's all. I'm not abandoning the party, but I'm telling you this, folks, I am not voting for a social liberal. I am not going to do it. I don't care what his policy is. I'm just not going to vote for a social liberal, and that was my point on the beginning of last evening's show. Like I stated previous, I had a lot of people from the Republican Party, email me up with their disdain of the fact that I was basically, throwing away the Republican Party. And I didn't mean to do that. I'm just simply tired of the Republican Party embracing social liberalism. We don't need this embracing of social liberalism, and that's why I'm staying home when it comes to voting. And if you're a true conservative, I suggest you do the same, but of course that's your right. But anyway, now that we've gotten that out of the way, I wanted to underscore the Democrats in today's society. Now, the Democrats in today's society have basically campaigned that if you don't vote for Hillary Clinton, that you're a misogynist, sexist pig, and if you don't vote for Barack Obama, or you don't even acknowledge him, you're a damn racist. And I was patronizing a couple of these liberal programs out here. I mean, they're definitely humorous. And they like to claim that, oh yeah, the Democrats, I mean, we're the African Americans party. Well, I beg to differ with the Democrats. As a matter of fact, the Democrats, not only are they the longest running party in the American political system, but they are the most racist. And I just wanted to give a little bit of a history lesson to those Democrats that are blindly supporting this ridiculous party when it is the most racist, vile party on the face of the planet. And, of course, Democrats are going to call me up, and they're going to say, oh, you're just spreading lies. You're spreading propaganda. No, I'm not spreading propaganda, and I'm going to share with you the history of the Democratic Party and why, instead of, and I'm speaking to the African Americans that happen to be listening to this program, don't look at the Republican Party as a racist party. I mean, don't look at it like that. Don't let these Democrats fool you. That's what they want you to believe. They want you to believe that, oh, yeah, the Republicans are a bunch of racist bastards. Yeah, they're a bunch of racist bastards. Yeah, whatever. Okay? Let's go back in time a little bit, folks, and let's talk about my party, the Republican Party. Now, the Republican Party was founded in 1854 to abolish slavery and challenge other racist legislative acts initiated by the Democratic Party at the time. So, to sit here and say that the Republican Party is racist is a logical fallacy, and it's only been force-fed by the liberal media and propaganda by the Democrats. As a matter of fact, during the Senate debates on the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, it was revealed that the members of the Democratic Party formed this terrorist organization. They formed the Ku Klux Klan to murder and intimidate African American voters. And as a matter of fact, during that time, the Ku Klux Klan Act was actually a bill that was introduced by the Republican Congress to stop Klan activities. Just to let y'all know that. But you see, nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody wants to talk about right now that the Republicans are a bunch of white racists, and it's just far from the truth. It is absolutely far from the truth. Don't let these long-haired, liberal, bedwetting, hippie Democrats fool you, folks. The Democrats are the most racist party on the face of the planet. And you just look at what they're doing right now. They are throwing the country back 30 years in race relations. And I'm just going to go ahead and bring up their racist ideology. I mean, the Republicans, like I stated, the Republican Party was founded in 1854 to abolish slavery. Our party was based on the civil rights of African Americans. The Ku Klux Klan was basically started as like a strong arm of the Democratic Party. The Democrats were the ones that invented the Ku Klux Klan. Look it up. If you don't believe me, look it up. It's ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly ridiculous. Anyway, let's take a more. Let's just continue on with the racist history of the Democrats. And the reason I'm saying this show, because Martin Luther King Memorial Day is coming up tomorrow. And I think it's sad. I think it's absolutely disgusting that these Democrats are going to hop on the bandwagon of probably one of the most influential people who put their lives on the line. I mean, Martin Luther King put his life on the line for civil rights. And yet you got these Democrats hopping on his grave saying, oh, look at us, we are the party of the African Americans. And don't let these people fool you. Let's continue on, shall we? Now, it was back in the day, I forgot what year it was, but it was a radical Republican named Thaddeus Stevens that introduced legislation to give African Americans, this was of course in the 1800s, the so-called, 40 acres and a mule. Do you remember that? I mean, that was an attempt at giving reparations to the black community in America that was enslaved and suppressed by these Democrats. And of course, back then, who overwhelmingly voted against the bill? Democrats. Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, if you look back in history, it was the radical Republican abolitionists like Henry L. Morehouse, General Oliver Howard, that basically started many of the traditional black colleges that we know of today. I mean, seriously. I mean, listen, I mean, all the black colleges that exist today, many of the traditional black colleges are named after white Republicans. Because the Republican Party was founded on civil rights. It was founded on giving the African Americans their due because they were suppressed by these Democrats. Just take a look at Morehouse College, Howard College. These were all Republican radical abolitionists. And of course, the Democrats tried to fight tooth and nail to keep these black colleges closed because they're a bunch of racist bastards, regardless of what they wanted you to believe. I mean, look at what they're doing today. Look at what they're doing today. They got a man up there called Barack Hussein Obama, who's basically, his underlying premise to his campaign is basically dividing race, throwing the country back about 30 years in race relations. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, I think it's very irresponsible that the Democrats are utilizing this ridiculous, racial divide to try to put themselves in the White House. Anyway, let's continue on. You know that the congressional records show that it was Democrats that strongly opposed the passage of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution. Now, these three amendments were all, of course, introduced by Republicans to abolish slavery, give citizenship to all African Americans born in the United States, and give the African Americans the right to vote. And of course, the Democrats were strongly opposed to it. Oh, no, we can't let that happen. They don't want to remember that. It was Republicans that initiated this ideology of, letting the African American community be as free men. It's ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly ridiculous. Also, court records show that it was the Democrats that supported the Dred Scott decision. Of course, this was the decision that classified the black community as property, as opposed to people. This is your Democratic Party, folks. It was also the racist Jim Crow practices initiated by the Democrats that brought about two landmark cases, okay? Plessy versus Ferguson and Brown versus Board of Education. And let me tell you, this is the Democrats. This is the Democrat Party. I'm telling you, do not follow these people. And I'm just doing this because I don't want the African American community, because they're trying to pander to the African American community as if the Democrats are their party. This is ridiculous. This is an absolute farce. I want the African American community to understand that it was the Republican Party that was founded on abolishing slavery, 1854. Look it up. Look it up. I mean, it's a sad history. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think it's sad that the Democrats even have this as its history. And as a matter of fact, we have a lot of talk about reparations. Reparations, and a lot of people, that's a bad taste in their mouth. But I don't see why. I don't see why there shouldn't be some sort of reparations paid to the African American community that were subjugated by the Democrats. And as a matter of fact, I think that the reparations should be paid to the African Americans in the United States out of the damn banking account of the Democratic Party. And I think that African Americans should raise hell, call their local DNC headquarters and say, I want my reparations check from you people because you've subjugated my people for long enough. And on top of which, and let me tell you, the Democrats, they're very, very good at deceiving people. I mean, like I've stated previous, this is their method of ideology, is agitation, propaganda. Anyway, I'd like to hear from whoever's out there listening, 646-652-4869. We'd like for you to chime in. Like I've stated previous, the Republican Party, it's gotten a stigma of being a supposed racist party, but I'm here to kill that ridiculous notion tonight. All right? And I'm telling you, for all the African Americans that are listening in, I feel for you. As a matter of fact, my heart bleeds to know that you are being deceived by this ridiculous party, the Democratic Party, that has a history of racism. And as a matter of fact, like I've stated previous, it was the Democrats that started the Ku Klux Klan. It's ridiculous. Anyway, if you've got something to chime in about, we'd like to hear from you. If you disagree, whether you agree, give me a call right now, 646-652-4869. I'd like a Democrat to give me a call right now and tell me that I'm telling an absolute lie. But you know what? You're not going to hear them call in. You want to know why? Because they know it's true. They know it's true. And Flag Gazer put up here in the chat room, I'm actually looking at the chat room here, something about Al Sharpton. I'm glad you brought up Al Sharpton. And I've talked a lot of garbage about Al Sharpton because basically he just uses the race card to put more money in his pocket and his face on television. But I wanted to read you a quote that Al Sharpton stated. And it goes like the following. He said, "The Democrats take the black vote for granted and treat African Americans like a mistress. They, the Democrats, will take us to the dance, but they don't want to take us home to meet Mama." Al Sharpton, 2003. And I'm telling you, this is not a farce here. I mean, the Democrats are a bunch of racists. The Democratic Party are a bunch of filthy, disgusting, despicable, racist pigs. I find it funny that Bill Clinton, I remember watching a speech in, I think it was 2002, when he spoke to the Democratic Leadership Council in New York about improving the future of the Democratic Party and how they could retake the White House. And you can actually look this up. It's actually on C-SPAN if you don't believe me. You can go to the, C-SPAN website and look it up. You can just look for, the Democratic Leadership Council. I think it was 2002. It was in New York. Anyway, he did not reference civil rights once. You know what? I take that back. He did mention civil rights as a foundation to take over or retake the White House, but not for African Americans. He was talking about civil rights for gays. For gays. And the only reference to improving any kind of community was his recommendation to revisit the Marshall Plan to rebuild communities in other countries. And nowhere in that speech did he say anything about, we could put an emphasis on civil rights to take back the White House. And you're not going to hear him say it because, like I've stated previous, the Democrats are all a bunch of racists. Just look at what they're doing to our country. Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. Oh, who introduced the Civil Rights Act? Okay, you want to talk about Lyndon Baines Johnson? I'll give you a quote from old LBJ. LBJ was forced to basically pass the Civil Rights Act. And it was quoted as saying that those N-words will basically vote for us for the next 100 years after this. You can look it up. As a matter of fact, I think it was recorded in one of those conversations in the White House. It's ridiculous. Anyway, get back to me, 646-652-4869. We're talking about the racist history of the Democratic Party and why I believe that the reparations to the black community in America should be paid in full by the Democratic Party. Anyway, we got a caller here from the 352 area code. You're on the air.
Hey, Ghost, it's Drive Time. How you doing?
How you doing?
Fine, thank you. I just wanted to call in and point out that it's not just the Democrats in the past who have been perpetuating racism. They're still doing it today. I do, and like you had said correctly before, the abolitionists founded the Republican Party.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm a Republican. I'm a big card-carrying Republican. I'm actually also the minority outreach coordinator for my county for the party. And on top of that, in my daytime, I am fighting the modern-day slavery movement, and to this date, I cannot get one Democrat to sign on board with us. The only ones who support our bills and who support our programs are Republicans.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Now, why do you think that the Democrats, considering that they're trying to claim the platform of being the minorities party, why do you think they won't sign any bills that have anything to do with, civil rights related legislation? I mean, in your opinion.
In my opinion, they just don't care. At the end of the day, they'll sign it when it comes before them, but they won't sign it to bring it on the floor. When I go, and I've gone to their meetings, I have gone to their rallies, I have passed out, and I've gone up to them about the anti-slavery literature, the fact that we have slaves right here on our soil, and I discuss that with them, and they turn around and they're like, that's not our business.
Can you elaborate the slaves on our soil, if you will, for the people that just are listening in currently?
Okay, that would be we have slavery going on here in America right now, not just foreign-born slaves who are brought in, but we have Americans who are also enslaved on our soil. We have men, women, and children. We have children who are kidnapped and sold into child sex slavery. We have women who disappear off the streets. We see it all the time. They're forced into prostitution. They're forced into brothels. Some of them are shipped overseas. We have homeless men. We have veterans who haven't received the right support and they wind up living on the streets. They're highly susceptible to slavery. They disappear all the time. Teenage runaways, highly susceptible to slavery. They're enslaved right here. They're in my hometown, which is really shocking because, I came from New York City. I've seen it all. And I moved to this pretty little town and let your guard down. And it surprised me when I started getting slave victims coming into my office. The first case that came to me as a domestic violence case, and it turned out it was actually sex trafficking, and the youngest victim was an 18-month-old boy.
Oh, my gosh.
And this is here in America, in our hometowns, in our backyards, and the only ones who I can get to step out in front of the cameras with me and to help me write legislation are the Republicans. Every Democrat I've talked to has been rude to me. They've thrown me out of their office. And it's not a political issue. It's a human rights issue.
Absolutely.
So I just needed to correct that. It's the Republicans all along who have been going for this. And I think the reason they think that we're so evil is because we don't believe in lifelong social services.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about, more government,
right.
the entitlements that we've come to know and love of the government, if you will. Exactly.
It's one thing, you can give a helping hand, but you need to teach someone to be independent.
Certainly.
And the Democrats want to keep everyone on the system so that if you go to school, you lose your funding. If you get a job, you lose your check. So let's keep you oppressed so you have nothing. But when the Republicans come along and say, listen, we don't want to keep doing this for the rest of your life. It's not good for you. It's not good for your children. It's not good for your future. Well, then we're evil. And what they're not realizing is we're trying to help everyone be independent and have an opportunity to do whatever you want. Start your own company, be a great lawyer, whatever your dream is. You can achieve it, but you need to do the work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I really commend you for your work. I didn't realize that you were, that involved with the community. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how many people tell you that, but seriously, we really need more people out here like you that are concerned about these issues because, from my perspective, I think it's the Democrats that are basically putting out propaganda, and they're basically suppressing minorities into believing that somehow that the Republican Party is just completely against them, and they're utilizing the fact that because we're against government spending and social programs and that sort of thing, that somehow equates to racism.
Right.
I just don't understand that. How can the Democrats get away with this?
It's well, you know what? They're godless and they're heathens, and they have the right PR people. And even Jesus said, give a man a fish he eats today, teach a man a fish he eats forever. it's not the best quote there, but, I mean, you have to be self-sufficient, and that's what we're about. And, it's just amazing to me that I can't get the Dems to step up to the plate. And I don't even walk in there saying, hi, I'm a Republican, I want your support. I go in there and say, listen, you've got an issue with your constituents, you've got a problem in your backyard. I'm here to help you help them. And they still want to throw me out.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, it's a shame to hear, the Democrats touting, all the garbage that they're touting in the primaries here, and yet you can't get a Democratic supporter to sign something that really has nothing to do with politics, just humanity.
I know. It's in D.C. we had on the floor for about 14 months. We couldn't bring to the floor the H.R. 270, which was the reauthorization for the the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. Oh. And the reason we couldn't get it on the floor was because, according to Pelosi up there, we needed a Democrat to sign off as a supporter or co-sponsor of the bill, and we couldn't get one. And then when the funding had run out, they finally brought it to the floor, which was just, last week. But and the only reason they let it come to the floor was because it was to reauthorize some funding. But for 14 months, she kept it off the floor because we couldn't get a Dem to co-sponsor.
Unreal.
Yeah.
That is unreal. And you know what? I'm really glad that you're bringing that to light because, like I've stated previous here, you've got people that actually believe that somehow the Democrats are going to, give some sort of substance to the suppressed minority. And yet somehow the Republicans are just a bunch of bad, white supremacist, racist, and that's why I made this show this evening, because I just want to put that to bed.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no legislation that I can. I've been researching this all day until like right 3 minutes before the show. I can't find a piece of Democrat legislation, with the exception of the Civil Rights Act that was initiated by LBJ, but even though LBJ initiated the Civil Rights Act, I mean, he was quoted as saying that, and I'm quoting him, the reason he passed it is because those N-words, and I'm not going to say the word, right. Those N-words are going to be voting Democrats for the next 100 years. And you know what? There's a lot of credence in that horrific statement that man said.
Yeah. Oh, and he was a Klans member, by the way.
Oh, really? I didn't know he was a Klans member.
He was a Klansman. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was stating earlier, that, believe it or not, the Klan was created by the Democratic Party.
Yes, it was. It was to combat what the abolitionists had formed with the Republican Party. Absolutely.
And not only that, they intimidated black voters when the Republicans gave them the right to vote. And on top of which, the Republican, the black contingent that were able to run for office at the time, they were all Republicans, and they were assassinated and killed and lynched and murdered by this wing of the Democratic Party, the Ku Klux Klan. And it's just unfortunate that I can't get anyone to understand this except for Republicans that really know what the root of the Republican Party is.
Yeah.
We got another caller here, maybe in an opposition viewpoint. 312 area code, you're on the air? Well, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Here we go. Go ahead. 312?
Yeah. Now, you were saying that about the welfare issue. What you say?
Yeah. What about the welfare issue?
What do you mean by saying that all black folks were getting welfare?
Nobody said all black folks were getting welfare. What we were stating is that the Democrats are pandering to minorities based on entitlement-type social programs.
Yeah.
Well,
look at here. I left from Chicago and went to a state called Wisconsin. And their welfare system up there, they was giving welfare out to white folks for $650 a month, $354 in general assistance. Here in Chicago, in the black community, they was only giving out $154 for general assistance and $250 for a woman that had one kid. When my grandmother and them was coming up, they didn't even have welfare. She was born back in 1929.
Well, you have to understand.
Welfare. So
you
keep on sitting up here talking about black folks as all they do is sit around wait for welfare. There's no black folks. We didn't have no welfare back in them days.
Well, you're taking words out of context.
They was too busy getting hung and had to run for their lives and fear for their lives and all that there. What do you keep talking about?
And because of the Democrats, sir.
Yeah, we know this.
Because of the Democrats.
It really was because of all white people back then. It was because of all white people. It wasn't just the Democrats. It was because all white people hated.
No, I disagree with you, sir. You got to look back in history.
No.
You need to look back and read your history.
You can't tell about history, sir. My great-grandmother was a white woman. Her own white mama and daddy disowned her because she married a black man. Kicked her out the damn house. Didn't even have nothing to do with her. She married a black man. They didn't even invite her to the fucking funeral. And she was white. So don't tell me about racism. I lived through it. I watched my great-grandmother go through fucking hell because her own people disowned her.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, sir. And, you know, I have to click you off from there because, once again, you know, I'm hearing the Democratic talking points. You know, 352, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
I'm sorry you had to hear that. I mean, you know, I would have liked to have had him provide discourse, but this is what you have the Democrats perpetuating nowadays. You know, this anger, this vile hatred. I mean, and you can see it in today's campaign with Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. I mean, they're taking our country, I said 30 years, maybe 50 years back in race relations, and you can hear just the vile words. They don't. I feel sorry for that man because he just believes that it's just all white people, and he needs to look back in his history and understand that there were martyrs like John Brown. Are you familiar with John Brown?
Yes, I am.
John Brown was a vigilante, and he went around during the 1800s. I think it was pre-Civil War. He started killing white slave owners, and this was a white man here. Mm-hmm. And he started killing white slave owners because, I mean, anybody with any kind of a conscience understands that this was just not right. This was just not a right, thing to do. And I think that what the African American community, and this is why I'm trying to facilitate debate with this show, is that the Republican Party is not against African Americans. On the contrary, it was Democrats the whole time.
Right.
The whole time that have been suppressing not only African Americans but just minorities.
Minorities, women. I mean, everyone was a target and still is a target for the Democrats. If you disagree with them, they put a target sign on your back, and they will get you, whether it's today or it's the next time they're out on the campaign trail and you're useful to them. They're a party of hate. There's no other way to say it, and it's just a shame that they're just perpetuating it in society and on the news. And of course, it makes a great soundbite, so why not perpetuate it? Absolutely.
Well, I thank you for calling Drive Time, and you know what, I really appreciate you listening in. You're always listening. You're a very faithful listener, and I appreciate your insight, and I keep the fight going.
You too.
Keep the fight going. Thank you very much, ma'am. It's always appreciated.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Well, as you can see, that was a Republican trying to make a difference in humanity, trying to initiate humanitarian anti-slave bills, trying to get Democrats to sign it, and do they want to sign it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Anyway, on to this, the Democrats being absolutely a racist organization. I mean, it was the Democrats that founded the Ku Klux Klan, like I've stated previous. But on top of which, I just want to get this stigma of Republicans being some sort of a racist party. I want to get it off the table. I mean, the Republican Party was founded on the abolition premise. And you see, I'm from Texas. And I did a little research on the Texas Republican Party, and it was founded on July 4th, 1867 in Houston, Texas. And who founded the Texas Republican Party? Well, it first formed with 150 African Americans and 20 whites. That's right. That is right. This is not the Black Texas Republican Party. They founded the Texas Republican Party. So to sit here and continue to villainize the Republican Party as some sort of a racist organization is just absolutely ridiculous. And I hope that the African American community can understand. I am throwing real facts here. I mean, don't try to say, and you see, what that individual that was just screaming the hatred, and I don't blame him for being just absolutely disgusted with the fact that we have a racial turbulent history. It's disgusting. I find it disgusting. But you can't blame all white people. You see, that's what the Democrats want you to do. That's what they want you to do now with this Barack Obama campaign. They want you just to hate white people. They want to divide our country. This is a new millennium. We're in 2008. And I resent the Democrats for doing such a thing. If you're a Democrat, please, by all means, give me a call. I'd like for you to tell me I'm wrong. I'd like for you to tell me I'm wrong. 646-652-4869. Now, remember affirmative action? Do you remember this? It aided the minority a place in the workplace. And, of course, you have a lot of people saying, oh, it's just the wrong thing to do, typically Democrats. But it was President Richard Nixon that implemented the first federal affirmative action law. That's right. Republican Richard Nixon that initiated the affirmative action law. And yet the Republicans are the bad guys, right? Republicans are the bad guys. It's just ridiculous. Don't let these Democrats fool you. I was talking about the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. Let's get in a little deeper with those, okay? It was the Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, who issued the Emancipation Proclamation during the Civil War, okay? And in 1865, the 13th Amendment emancipating slaves was passed by 100%. Let me repeat that. The 13th Amendment emancipating the slaves was passed by 100% of Republicans who voted for it. Guess how many Democrats voted for it? Remember, 100% Republicans. How many Democrats? 23%. That's right. 23% of the Democrats voted for the emancipation of slaves. And this is supposedly the minority party here. This is the minority party? Are you kidding me? Let me tell you something, Democrats. You're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling anybody. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, 646-652-4869. I'd love a Democrat's point of view on this. I'd like for a Democrat to give me a call up and say, well, you know what, Ghost, you're wrong. You're wrong because of this, this, and this, but no one's going to call up. No one's going to do anything about it. Now, you have this offshoot of Democrats called progressives. I know you've heard I've got my reasons, with his little fruity-ass voice, come up to, call me up and say, oh, I'm a progressive. We're for the people. Let me tell you something about one of your famous progressives. Woodrow Wilson. Remember that guy? Woodrow Wilson? Mr. Liberal Progressive? Well, Woodrow Wilson passed a pretty interesting law. He passed a law that made it legal to have different bathrooms and different water fountains for white and black people. That's right. It was the progressive liberal Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson. And if you happen to see Fred, please tell him I said that. Mr. Progressive, Mr. Power to the People. I heard his little ridiculous show this morning. And, he was just talking about how Reagan was a racist and all these Republicans are racist. As a matter of fact, it was Ronald Reagan that signed into law the Martin Luther King Day that we're going to be celebrating tomorrow. That's right. So, I mean, to sit here and to hear this absolute propaganda just makes me sick to my stomach. Anyway, I think we talked about the 13th Amendment. Let's talk a little bit about the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was passed giving the newly emancipated black people full civil rights and federal guarantee to those rights, superseding any state law. And of course, every single Republican voted for the 14th Amendment. And guess how many Democrats voted for the 14th Amendment? Just take a guess. None. Zero. Zip. Nada. None of them voted for the 14th Amendment. You can look all this stuff up. I'm not saying anything out of my derriere over here. This is all fact. This is all true. I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. And this is the Democratic Party that's supposed to be the party for the minority? If you're a Democrat, please, give me a call. I hear somebody here, what's his name? It's somebody in the chat room here who's trying to agitate. I'm trying to look for his name. Forgot his name here. Oh, yeah, I think it's Wake Up Call Show, whatever his name is. Why don't you give me a call? You seem to be trying to fight on the side of the Democrats. Why don't you call up here and try to say why the Democrats are the minorities party? 646-652-4869. Why don't you call me up? Tell me why. You're not going to do it. You know what you're going to do? You're going to flap your fat fingers on the keyboard and continue to spread logical fallacies, and you're not going to debate because you know everything that I'm saying here this evening is absolutely true. The Democrats are a bunch of racists. They have the biggest history of racism than any other party that I can try to look. I've been trying to look up all kinds of different parties in other countries. No other racist, none as racist as the Democrats. None at all. And yet you only have 2% of the black population that votes Republican. That's a good job by the Democrats in their propaganda machine. Yeah, that's it right there. And if you think it's just limited to the past, no, I've stated, Bill Clinton, like I said, you can look this up. The supposed first black president, 2002, he spoke in front of the Democratic Leadership Council in New York regarding the future of the Democratic Party and how they could retain the White House. And not one time did he ever reference civil rights as a fundamental foundation to do this. He didn't mention anything, any kind of issues for blacks, or to do anything to improve conditions in the African American communities. And like I said, I recollect and I corrected myself. He did say one thing about civil rights, but not for African Americans. It was for gays. And why would he pander to the gays like that? Well, because they donate to Democratic campaigns. It's all about money. And you can look that up. The supposed first black president. Not one thing. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable that the Democrats and their propaganda machine can make these poor minorities into believing that the Democrats are the party of the minority. They're a bunch of racists. The Ku Klux Klan was invented by the Democratic Party. Anyway, 646-652-4869. We got another call here from the 651 area code. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, Ghost? This is Wild Phil.
How you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Seems to me that they don't have to go back very far to recognize racists in their own party. Look at Hubert Humphrey.
Absolutely. There is so much information on the racist history of the Democrats. I didn't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start. And, I think it's an attest to the propaganda machine of the Democrats.
Well, sure it is.
How they can
you can't tell me it isn't, because they ain't got no guts to call in. Hey, Democrats, call in. If you got the guts, put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're not going to hear it because, how can you combat with any kind of debate against the facts I'm throwing out this evening? What are they going to say?
Well, exactly it.
They can't say anything. I mean, it's just a discussion. And let me tell you, I've been researching this topic all day, and there is just so much information, and this is a 2-hour show. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit it all in a 2-hour show.
Well, of course not.
No, so you're a conservative, right?
Oh, all the way.
Now, why is it, do you think, that the Republican Party has not only been tarnished with this stigma of being a supposed racist party, but at the same time, how do you think all of these minorities have been mesmerized by the Democratic Party, considering the open racist history of this particular organization?
Well, they've been racist from the word go, and they've been holding the black people back for years. And the reason is that they pander to them with little gifts like, those little socialist handouts. You know, that's been like a little piece of candy to hold the kid back when he complains. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I suggested this on another show. You know, the immigration problem that we're having in today's America. We have these people from the left, the Democrats and other left-wing organizations and institutions that are actually agitating this immigrant situation. Do you remember those marches all over America with all these immigrants marching for, amnesty and that sort of thing? Do you remember that happened just about a year and a half ago?
Yes.
Well, and I suggested this. I suggested this, I think, a couple of shows ago, that the Democrats are trying to utilize the humanitarian spin off of the immigration issue so that they can make a permanent underclass that they could pander to and give subsidies to so they can continue to have votes generation after generation. Now, do you think that's exactly what they did with the African American and other minority communities that are basically voting all Democrat?
Yes, I do. It's exactly how they did that.
So, do you think, as a Republican, do you think that that the immigration issue is going to be a touchy issue, and that if we don't solve it as a country, and I'm not talking about amnesty, we cannot give these people amnesty.
Right.
As much as of a humanitarian spin as you want to put on it, you just can't give these people. They did something illegal. And you have African Americans that have lived here their whole entire lives. You have other minorities that have lived here their whole entire lives, spilt blood for this country, that don't even have a quarter of what these people are getting off of our system. Now, how is the conservative, since you're a conservative, how can the conservative combat this particular ideology that's being spewed by the left-wing propaganda machine?
Well, eventually, don't you know that the minorities, the Mexicans coming up here, will end up overrunning the blacks, and then the blacks will complain because they get more rights than they do. So this is going to be a vicious cycle, and then you will see that the Dems will start pandering more to the Mexicans than they are to the blacks. And pretty soon the blacks will soon all of a sudden find out, hey, what's going on? You know? And it's going to be a deal where they're going to get a rude awakening and find out just how racist the Dems are.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm bringing it up, this particular program, a day before Martin Luther King Day, because you're going to have every left-wing liberal hippie out there marching in the streets like if they really care about Martin Luther King, like they really care about the rate, they don't care about all they care about is their photo op, they're pandering to minorities, and yet they have no substance whatsoever.
That's absolutely right.
It's unfortunate. Well, I thank you for calling. Did you want to add anything else?
No, just keep up the great work that you're doing, my friend.
Absolutely. Do you have a show? Do you have a show on BTR?
No, but I visited a lot of shows. I was over there when you were over there on Paul's show.
Yeah, talking about abortion?
Yeah.
It was a great show.
It was.
Well,
anyways, I got you marked up there as friend and favorite, so.
Well, I thank you very much for that, sir, and you keep on the conservative fight, if you will.
You betcha.
Thank you very much. You have yourself a pleasant evening.
You too.
Thank you very much. Well, here we got another conservative perspective. There was two different Republicans calling in and agreeing. Of course, you're not going to hear any Democrats call in and talking about, oh, well, we're not racist because of this, and this. Here I am. I'm giving you facts. I'm telling you that the Democrats invented the Ku Klux Klan. You know? I mean, they invented it. You can look it up. And, you know, I was talking about how Clinton said nothing about the civil rights movement or anything about the African Americans in his 2002 speech to the Democratic Leadership Council in New York about how the Democratic Party can retake the White House. And the only civil rights reference he did point out to was for homosexuals. Nowhere in that speech did he say anything about human rights being the foundation of the Democratic strategy to overtake the White House once again. And just to underscore the lack of real response, so, you know, Clinton, what a piece of garbage. He likes to claim not only is he the supposed first black president, but he likes to be the Mr. Humanitarian. And let me just show you his hypocrisy, okay? Remember, Bill Clinton sent 20,000 troops to protect the white citizens of Europe's Bosnia. And yet he sent absolutely no troops to Africa's Rwanda to protect the black citizens there. And consequently, over 800,000 Africans were massacred. But this is the black president, right? This is the black president. It's ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly ridiculous. Oh! I got my reasons. It's in the chat room. Hey, you missed my little rant on your little progressive party. Reasons, Fred. You're a racist, and you know it. And if you're going to try to claim that you are a progressive, well, let me state, and I've stated this earlier in the program, let me state one of your progressive leaders' little laws that were passed. Remember a guy by the name of Woodrow Wilson? One of the leaders, one of the great front runners of the Progressive Liberal Party. Well, did you know that Woodrow Wilson was the man that put into law that there should be separate fountains, water fountains for white and black people? And this is the Progressive Party, folks. He also passed a law to have separate bathrooms for white and black people. This is a liberal, progressive Democrat. It's ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly ridiculous. Well, let's keep going on back in history from the Democratic racist history. Let's continue on, okay? And everybody likes to, you know, when I was talking about how the Democrats were racist, I had a few people say, well, Robert Kennedy would disagree with you. Robert Kennedy would disagree with you. Robert Kennedy approved the secret wiretaps on Dr. Martin Luther King. What are you talking about? It's ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly ridiculous. And you got these liberals and these Democrats actually with pure propaganda mesmerizing the minority party with, you know, government subsidies and entitlements and trying to basically, you know, sweep up the racist past from under the table. Now, I think that the African American community should be given reparations. We need to give black people reparations, but you know what? It shouldn't come out of the government's pocket. It should come out of the Democratic Party's pocket. And I'd like every African American that's listening, I'd like every African American to tell their friends, their parents, everybody who they know that's African American, tell them to call down to their nearest Democratic Party headquarters and say, look, I want my reparations check. It was your party that created the Ku Klux Klan. It was your party that initiated all this racist garbage, Jim Crow, who supported the Dred Scott decision. Okay, and let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you. The congressional record shows that Democrats were opposed to all these following laws that were introduced by Republicans to achieve civil rights for African Americans. Let me just name you a few. The Civil Rights Act of 1866, completely opposed by the Democrats, and of course it was initiated by a Republican. The Reconstruction Act of 1867, opposed by Democrats, introduced by Republicans. The Freedmen Bureau Extension Act of 1866, another one the Democrats weren't too crazy about. The Enforcement Act of 1870. I mean, I can go on and on. The Force Act of 1871, the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, the Civil Rights Act of 1875, the Civil Rights Act of 1957, the Civil Rights Act of 1960. I mean, I can go on and on. The Democrats are a bunch of racist bastards. Don't believe these people when they're saying they are the party for the minority, because they're not. They are not. They are not the party for the minority. Don't let these people fool you. And like I stated previous, all the black colleges that are around today were all opposed by the Democrats. I mean, they fought tooth and nail to keep black colleges closed. And you notice that most black colleges today are named after white Republican radical abolitionists. It's no coincidence, folks. These people are a bunch of racists. And I don't care what they say. And I'm sitting here trying to beg. I'm begging a Democrat. Please, give me a call right now. Give me a call, 646-652-4869, and tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. But you're not. You're not going to tell me I'm wrong. You want to know why? Because I'm stating history. And I don't care what, I'm not just specifically singling out the Democrats. I think it's the whole left wing of the party. I stated how the progressive liberals initiated the separate water fountains and bathrooms for African Americans and white people. That was initiated by a progressive. That's pretty progressive, huh? Oh, man, this is just hilarious. Anyway, folks, I'd like for somebody to call in on the Democrat side. I know that I'm bashing the living bejesus out of you, and you're probably just sitting there playing with your pecker shaft, not knowing what the heck's going on. But give me a call, 646-652-4869. Give me a call right now. I want a Democrat to call me up and tell me I'm wrong. But you're not going to do it. And I don't blame you. I don't blame you. We're a day before Martin Luther King Day. We're a day before Martin Luther King Day, and you're going to have every Democrat, and you're going to see them tomorrow. They're going to be marching. They're going to be, saying, oh, yeah, I love Martin Luther King. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. It's ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly ridiculous. Did you know that the first black Democrat wasn't elected until 1935, conveniently from the state of Illinois? Yeah. Exactly. And how many African Americans that ran after the Civil War? 23. Were all elected to Congress. 13 of them ex-slaves. And what did they run as? A Republican. A Republican. It's amazing. Anyway, folks, like I've stated previous, time and time again, the reason I'm bringing up this subject matter of the Democrats being a racist party is because, we're going to celebrate a martyr, an absolute martyr in the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King, tomorrow. And I think it besmirches his memory for these Democrats to hop on his coffin and tout all this garbage that they're the party for the minority. It's just sick. It's just absolutely sick. Anyway, and of course you're going to have, more logical fallacies, personal attacks from the left. I mean, because they don't want to talk about the issues. You notice I'm trying to talk about the issues here, and what are they doing in the chat room? They're trying to, spew off logical fallacies. They're trying to, call names. It's ridiculous. There's no civil discourse with these people, and that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Now, let me take another, and I got my reasons. You can go piss off because I'm not going to answer your call. You are a despicable human being for sitting here. I allow you the forum all the time to get up on here and spew your little left-wing, long-hair liberal hippie garbage. And yet, when I call up your show, what do? You try to agitate. You're an imbecile. So go tickle your fruity ass crack, and go listen somewhere else, because I could care less. I could care less. And I've already proved your little progressive movement moot, because y'all are just as racist as the Democrats. And if you don't believe me, well then go ahead and go talk to your good old boy from the past, Woodrow Wilson, and talk about why he passed legislation to separate blacks and whites when it comes to the restroom, when it comes to water fountains and that sort of thing. Won't you ask him that? Go ahead. History reveals that Democrats lynched, burned, mutilated, and murdered thousands of blacks and completely destroyed entire towns and communities occupied by middle-class blacks, including Rosewood, Florida, the Greenwood District in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Wilmington, North Carolina, just to name a few. Just to name a few, of course. I mean, after the Civil War, Democrats murdered several hundred black elected officials to regain control of the Southern government. I mean, it's ridiculous. And, it wasn't until 2004. Prior to 2004, the Democratic Party had never elected a black man to the United States Senate. Until Barack Hussein Obama came along. It's ridiculous. It's just absolutely, utterly sick. And you're not going to have any Democrats call up and say, hey, you're wrong, Ghost. You're just being a meanie. You're not going to have them say that. You want to know why? Because they know it's true. They know it's true. And let's go back in time once again. Like I'm saying, I have so much history, so much racist history on the Democrats that I don't even think I'm going to be able to say it all on this show. And like I've stated, and all the people that are just coming in, I think that the African American community should go out and demand reparations, but not from the government. No, not from the government, from the Democratic Party. That's right, the Democratic Party owes it to you. The Democratic Party. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, and during the 60s, many Democrats fought hard to defeat the 1964 Civil Rights Act, the 1965 Voting Rights Act, the 1972 Equal Opportunity Employment Act. I mean, give me a break. Give me a break, man. I've already named about a dozen acts that were initiated by Republicans for human rights for the African Americans that were fought and just tooth and nail against by the Democrats. And yet I cannot find one Democrat that can, grow themselves a pair of cojones, get on the telephone, 646-652-4869, and tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Now, you see, you've got the Democrats in my chat room here, and if you want to get to my chat room, it's www.blogtalkradio.com/ghost. You got these people in the chat room here. You got a couple of liberal agitators, wake-up call show, and of course, that, Ricky Martin butt-loving fruit bowl, I got my reasons. They're sitting over here spewing off logical fallacies that, oh, you're against gays. You're against gays. I'm not against gays. I'm not against gays. I'm just against seeing oral copulation between two men happening across the street from an elementary school, and that's exactly what the liberals want to see. That's exactly what they want to see. It's ridiculous. That's exactly what they want to see. And, of course, I'm being called a misogynist. Here we go again. Oh, yeah, I'm a misogynist because, I'm just trying to save the American family. Because I believe in the sanctity of marriage. I'm a misogynist piece of garbage. It's ridiculous. More logical fallacies. It's ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly sickening. Well, Jen, with all due respect, nobody really cares about, not even Republicans really give credence in what you're saying. And I try to listen to your show, but it seems to me like everybody hates you for some reason. And, just by, I don't want to acknowledge it, Jen, It would just give your show more listeners. Anyway, let's get back to the history of the Democrats. The Democratic Party. All right, we already talked about the 13th and 14th Amendment and how many Democrats voted for it. No Democrats voted for the 14th Amendment, which, gave the newly emancipated black community the full civil rights and federal guarantee to those rights. No Democrats voted for it. Let's talk about the 15th Amendment there for a little bit. Congress came back and passed the 15th Amendment in 1870, guaranteeing blacks the right to vote. Every single Republican voted for it. And guess how many Democrats voted against it? Just take a guess. How many Democrats voted against it? Every single one of them voted against the 15th Amendment, just like every single one of them voted against the 14th Amendment. These people are racist. They're racist. It's just give me a break. And I'm demanding one of you left-wing, long-hair liberal hippies to say that I'm wrong. Call me up and tell me I'm wrong. 646-652-4869. Give me a call and tell me I'm wrong about this. Give me a call right now and tell me the Democrats are the party of the minority, because they're not. They're racist. They're utilizing race in this campaign alone. They're throwing our country into a racial divide of 50 years ago. What's going on, Democrats? Is this what you do? Methods of agitation? This is why I claim that every liberal Democrat, everybody on the left of the political persuasion is a closet communist. A closet communist. It's ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly sick. Utterly disgusting. I literally want to throw up nasty chicken grease and 5-day-old cereal and stomach plasma. I'm getting so sick to my stomach right now. I'm serious. It's just sickening. And I'm sick and tired of hearing people saying that because I'm from Texas. And everybody's, Texas, they're a right-wing conservative state. They're racist down there. And I'm going to state this again. You know who founded the Texas Republican Party? In 1867, July 4th, in Houston, Texas? 150 black people. And guess how many whites joined up with them? 20. And this was not the Black Texas Republican Party. They founded the Texas Republican Party. So much so much that I can say for the Democrats out here. So much I can say for the Democrats. Absolutely sick. Anyway, folks, I'm begging a Democrat. As you can see, No Democrat is calling up. 646-652-4869. And like I stated to the African American contingent that's listening into the show, demand your reparations. Demand your reparations, but don't demand it from the government. You need to demand it from the Democratic Party, because they're the ones that lynched and murdered your ancestry. They're the ones that tried to shut down every law for you to be free. They're the ones that invented the Ku Klux Klan. They're the ones that have been suppressing you since the beginning of their party. It's ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly ridiculous. And you see, here I am, I'm trying to talk about a different subject matter, and what are people doing? They're sitting over here talking about my feminist views, my views on feminism. It's ridiculous. We're not talking about feminism, folks, all right? Stop trying to be agitators. We're talking about the racist Democratic Party. It's ridiculous. I mean, this is what the left likes to do. This is what the left likes to do, just agitate. You know? Just agitate. You see, and you see, here we go again. I'm a sexist because I'm trying to facilitate a debate on feminism, and I'm a sexist. And I have blatantly acknowledged the feminists at the turn of the 20th century. Yeah, you know what, Jen? I think you are a closet leftist. I think that, you know, some of the things that you say, Jen, are so completely obnoxious. I think that you're just trying to sit here and turn people away against the Republican Party. You're like Ed Morrissey, that piece of trash, you know, trying to convert everybody into a social liberal. And I believe that. So that's my view on that thing right there. But since I'm getting so much garbage in my own chat room here about my feminist views, let me explain to you, like I've stated over and over and over again, okay? Feminism is authoritarian communism. Remember, the feminists at the turn of the 20th century, I acknowledge their contributions. I commend them. I mean, they were true people that stood for equality. Equality. And as we get to the 1960s, when Gloria Steinem and these bull-nosed, bull-headed bull dykes out here, as soon as they started calling all this garbage about, oh, women need to burn their bras and, you know, stop muff diving or start muff diving, whatever the case might be, this is when you had the feminist movement refashion the woman appetite, okay? And this is my point, and of course I'm going to be called a sexist, I'm going to be called all kinds of names in the book, because I'm acknowledging the fact that the feminist movement has warped itself into changing the woman's mind into becoming a subliminal prostitute. Okay? It's just a subliminal prostitute. I mean, you got the American male out here buying all kinds of materialistic widgets, okay? All kinds of materialistic widgets. You got the man buying the $20,000 watch. You got the man, you know, buying the $3,000 suit. You got the man buying the $50,000-$60,000 car. Not because of his own materialistic needs. No. No, it's because he's trying to attract a woman. I mean, whatever happened to, romance and love and trying to appreciate a man for his character instead of his pocketbook? It's ridiculous. And that's my point on feminism. That's all I'm stating. I mean, I'm being called a misogynist because I'm trying to save the American family. I'm trying to save the American family. I mean, the American family is becoming extinct, and because I'm acknowledging the fact that it's becoming extinct because of some reason, I'm a chauvinist. I'm a chauvinist. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly sick. And you see all the females in the room here, they don't even want to acknowledge the fact that it's become the social norm for women to have 4 or 5 divorces. It's become the social norm for women to have at least 3 or 4 or 5 kids from 3 or 4 or 5 different fathers. It's the social norm. It's the social norm, and I just don't understand why nobody wants to acknowledge it. They just want to, go ahead and point the finger and call somebody a sexist pig. I mean, I'm a sexist. And, and just to prove this, feminism has asserted the absolute pussification, okay? The absolute pussification of America. I used to say it was of the American male, but I think it's all of America. And just look at our justice system, okay? Do you remember Deborah LaFave? Do you remember her? That she was some dumb blonde bimbo that decided to, do some 13-year-old kid because she was a teacher. She was a teacher and she decided to go, do some 13-year-old kid, right? Remember that? The stupid blonde bimbo? Well, anyway, she got probation for statutory rape for that case, by the way. And recently, it was about 2 weeks ago, she had her probation revoked, or not revoked, she violated her probation. And the hearing for her violation of probation was all over the news at that time, okay? And I was expecting the judge to throw her in jail. In jail. But you know what? Did she go to jail? No, she didn't go to jail. She didn't go to jail for violating her probation for statutory rape. Now, why is that? Why is that? Because the absolute pussification of America has been implemented. It's been implemented. I mean, look at men that get divorced because their women become philanderous whorebags, huh? That hop on something down the street that looks good in a leather jacket. What happens? Well, the man has to give 50%, even though he's the one that got cheated on. All right, you got to give 50% to the woman, okay? And if you have alimony in your state, well, geez, you're out of luck because you're going to have to pay this philanderous whore, alimony if that's legal in your state. Then you got to pay child support because 85% of the time the woman gets the children. And you call this equality? I mean, I thought the root of feminism was supposedly equality. Well, whatever happened to equality? They're utilizing the disguise of equality for total domination. And that is my point about the modern-day feminist. I mean, you want to talk about equality, I'm an employer, and I employ a lot of people. And I have my employees tell me that even though you got all these, females touting feminism, equality, I am woman, I'm burning my bra, I'm muff diving when I want to, whatever their rhetoric is, whenever these young men, these are 20-somethings young men over here, every time they take a woman on a date, they still got to flip the tab. I mean, what happened to equality here? I mean, they still got to open doors for these chicks. All right, I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. I mean, give me an absolute break. I mean, come on. I mean, can we just not acknowledge the fact that the feminist movement has asserted the pussification of America? Can we just not agree to that? I mean, look, I know that people don't understand that, where I'm coming from to a certain extent because I'm acknowledging the social ills of society, and everyone in here just wants to turn a blind eye to it and just ignore it and they'll go away. I mean, I remember a time when it was shunned. You were outcasted if you had a child out of wedlock, if you got a divorce. I mean, we had moral ethos back in those days, folks. And all of a sudden, it has gone completely by the wayside, because of the feminist movement. The feminist movement. It's absolutely disgusting. And all you men that are in here, you know, trying to take up, oh, he's such a pig. Yeah, you're right. You're agreeing with the females in here. Oh, he's such a pig. You idiots are all pussified yourself. You're all pussified. And let me tell you, you want to know why you're saying it? It's not because you really believe it. It's because you actually think it'll get you somewhere. You know, it'll actually win you some brownie points with the cyber poontang in the room. And then that's the honest-to-God truth. That's why these men, you know, go behind it. They're like, oh, well, you know, maybe if I agree with the feminist, you know, ridiculous propaganda here, you know, maybe I can get myself a phone-banging session. It's ridiculous. Absolutely disgusting. If you want equality, well then act like you want equality. And whenever I attempt to facilitate debate about this subject matter, don't just start throwing logical fallacies at me. Don't start throwing logical fallacies at me. Okay? If you're the type of man that likes to, you know, be in the middle of the mall while you're holding your wife's purse because your testicles are in there, while your wife's going out spending all your money doing whatever she wants to do because you're a pussified piece of garbage, hey, don't look at me because I want moral ethos back in society. Don't look at me like that, man. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I've stated how to rectify this problem. I'm not losing it political. You know what's being lost? I'll tell you what's being lost. The American family's being lost. That's what's being lost. The American family. The sanctity of marriage. You know? I mean, you got these women, you know, shitting out about 5 or 6 kids. They're dumping them off on an illegal alien child care provider or in front of a boob tube, a violent video game, or in front of the internet. And then we wonder why our children are going out and killing everybody in their schools. Why they're going into malls and shooting people. Why they're turning into a bunch of sexual deviants. Anyway. Sorry, folks. I'm getting a little... Hey, I'm really passionate about this. And I stated time and time again, what we need to do is we need to outlaw divorce. Just outlaw divorce. First of all, we'll get rid of all these blood-sucking divorce lawyers that, you know, are the lowest form of life. Okay? And at the same time, people will think twice before they start thinking that, you know, it's just okay to be casually married. You know what I mean? Like it's okay to just, oh, you know what? I'm just going to get married today and I'll be out of it tomorrow. These people are changing marriage like, you know, dirty, crappy underwear. And I also think that adultery should be a jailable offense. And that's my take on that. Anyway, I've got, I'm looking at the phone lines here. Everybody's has a packed phone line. Look, I didn't even want to talk about this, but of course everybody in the chat room knows me as Mr. Anti-Feminist. They think I'm a sexist pig or something. Of course, you know, all these are feminists that are saying this, regardless of what they want to disguise themselves as. I mean, of course they're all feminists. I'll take some damn calls. And you know what? Before I take these calls, I bet you money. I bet you cashed money that all these people are just going to spew off a bunch of garbage, no type of debate whatsoever. Everybody that calls in, I always give them the forum. I always give them the forum to spew off whatever their viewpoint is. Whatever their viewpoint is. All right, we're going to take some calls here. The 949 area code, you're on the air.
Man, you got to get a hold of yourself there, Ghost.
I got to get a hold of myself?
Get a hold of yourself, brother, because you call yourself a Republican and you're making asses out of all of us.
Well, first of all, you know, with all due respect, sir, I just want to save the American family. Now, if you don't want to save the American family, that's your problem.
We all do. What are you talking about, man? conservatives believe that both people have a responsibility to take care of the family. It's not the woman's fault. It's not the man's fault. Both of them have to promise in public. That's what a marriage is. You get in front of a bunch of people and you make a promise to each other that you'll take care of each other and the kids that you have. Instead of women running around having 5 children with different fathers, where are the fathers? Where are the fathers demanding better?
They can go to they have a gender-biased justice system where they can go and get child support.
Yeah, well, I know there's a problem with that, but that is not the issue you're talking about. You're painting everybody with a broad brush.
No, I'm not. Look, I know that there are great conservative women that still believe in their family, that still believe in raising their children, and I thank God for those women because they are what's keeping the American family alive. I'm not broad. I mean, look, I know that I'm generalizing when I speak, but the only reason that I take such a drastic extremist approach is because that's the only way people are going to wake up, man. That's the only way they're going to wake up. I mean, look, I understand that maybe you don't agree with me, and I'll accept that, okay? But you have to acknowledge the fact that there is a social problem in America today. There is a social problem, and nobody wants to talk about it.
No, everybody's talking about it, Ghost. We talk about it all the time. It's all over the place. Banning divorce is not going to solve the problem. Making adultery a jailable offense is not going to solve the problem. The problem isn't the government coming in and punishing people for decisions they make in their personal lives. It's up for people to demand more of themselves. And when you go around backhanding women saying, well, it's the woman, that's the problem.
You see, why do you have to say that? Why do you have to say that I'm...
listened to you for the last half hour.
Why do you have to say... But you see, every time I try to oppose this or try to facilitate a debate on this subject matter, everybody assumes that I want to knock women's teeth out. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, listen to yourself.
I have never advocated violence towards women, ever. You can look back on my shows, and you can sit here and try to spread that lie about me, but it's wrong, and you're wrong.
No one ever said that, man, and that's a pretty nice trick to try to change the subject, but let's get back to it. You've just spent half an hour telling the women in the chat room that they ain't worth diddly.
That's ridiculous. I said they don't want to facilitate a debate about the subject matter, sir.
Well, why would you? When you have shown them what you think of women. You're a chauvinist, and that's very honest of you to say so, but it's such a shallow view of what the problems are in America.
So how am I a chauvinist?
You said you were a chauvinist. You said you're...
How? When? When did I say it?
Are you serious, Finn?
When did I say it?
You said it earlier in the show. You said, I am a chauvinist. You got to deal with that. I mean,
that's right. I did not say that. You're lying, sir. You're lying, and I don't appreciate that. And if you're a so-called Republican, you shouldn't be lying about another Republican like that. I never said I was a chauvinist. I have acknowledged the feminist movement of the turn of the 20th century. Those are patriotic women that wanted the woman the right to vote, wanted the woman the right to work. But it has exploded into a ridiculous concept at this point. And if you want to continue on and acknowledge the fact that it's okay for women to go ahead and dominate men. It's okay for, women to just go ahead and do what I got to do. And just get off my telephone, sir. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. 405 area code, you're on the air.
How's it going?
How's it going, sir?
Going all right. All right, first off, I'm not going to call you a chauvinist or anything like that. I'm not here to argue or yell or all that crap.
Well, thank you. I mean, look, I understand if you disagree with me. But, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Go ahead, sir.
All right. First off, I am divorced.
Okay.
I came home from the war in 2004 to find out that I was pretty much on the way out. Okay.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir.
Well, I was too. However, neither of us cheated on each other. Neither of us had affairs. We just kind of grew apart over the years. I was gone. I spent a year in Bosnia, and I spent 2 tours in Afghanistan. So I was gone.
Well, thank you for your service, sir.
Well, it's my pleasure. And we're still friends, actually. We get along great. We talk on the phone sometimes. We get along great. We have children together. She's one who she has custody of both the kids. I see them on the weekends. And she's she's actually a pretty staunch feminist. And we got in a debate over one time about feminism. She said, we want equal pay. I said, I understand that. That's fine. If you want to do the same job I do, you can have equal pay. And in my industry, she would get equal pay because it's all commission.
Sure.
But when we kind of debated over it, I said, look at it this way, though. If you're on a ship and that ship's sinking who gets on the boats first? She goes, the children. He said, who gets on the boats with the children? She goes, the women. Like, okay. So I get paid an extra $1 or so an hour to be the last one off the ship, which is exactly it.
Yeah.
You know, everything's equal on this side of it. Once it gets into a bind of some sort,
of course,
the chivalry kicks in, and I'm not saying it shouldn't either.
Absolutely, and neither am I. I mean, to be honest with you, I would oblige to that. But I mean, let's stop the malarkey of equality, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand that. I mean, I agree with you. I think everything should be equal, but I don't think anybody should try to dominate anybody else for that matter.
Yeah, and that's not my point. You see, I'm trying to facilitate a debate that the feminist movement is trying complete and utter domination of not only the male, but America. And I'm trying to look, I'm pointing at the justice system. I'm pointing at the hypocrisy of what's going on in society today. And I don't know if you're in the chat room, sir, but I mean, people in the chat room are just spewing off all kinds of methods of agitation, slanderous lies, and that sort of thing, because I'm just trying to facilitate a debate on the subject matter.
Right, and I saw that, but to be honest with you, this is my first time in the chat room and on the show, so of course, I'm not going to know, what's true and what's not. It's my first time there.
Sure.
I have my own show, and somebody sent me an email asking me if I'd be on their show, so I was looking through and I found this one.
Okay, well, I thank you very much for having this one, sir. Unfortunately, I'm known as, Mr. Bad, Chauvinist, Sexist Pig for some reason. I mean, all I'm doing is just trying to facilitate debate, and, here I've got a bunch of sexists, and I got a bunch, and when I mean sexist, I'm talking about feminists that are sexist. And at the same time, I've got a bunch of guys in here that think that they're winning brownie points with the cyber poontang in the room by, being Mr. Chivalrous and getting up on here and thinking that they're going to give me a piece of their mind. I mean, this is the type of mentality we're perpetuating.
Right.
And I'm sorry, sir, that a patriot like you who did tours in the military and that fought for this country, that spilled blood for this country. I don't understand how you can come home and find something like that. I mean, how did you feel, sir?
Well, in all honesty, before my second tour in Afghanistan, I already knew we were already kind of slipping apart, and it wasn't something that was just, I didn't come home to a surprise, put it that way. But I saw it coming, so it wasn't one of the things where I was just like, oh my God, what the hell, and then I was
sure.
trying to fall over. It still hurt. I got wounded in 2004, and that's why I'm home now. And
I see. I'm sorry, sir. Like I said, thank you for your service, and even though the liberals are going to sit over here and point the finger at you and saying you're a killer, sir, you were serving your country just like I did, just like my father did, just like my great grandfather did.
My
thank you.
My grandfather did too, and I kind of followed in their footsteps. But anyway, I was in Afghanistan for about 5 weeks on my second tour before I got hit. And my next probably 4.5, 5 months after that, I spent in the hospital going through physical therapy. What had happened, I didn't get shot, nothing cool. I fell about 3 stories and shattered my hip.
Oh no, that's a horrible injury.
Yeah, I know. Believe me, I know. And so I came back. Now, keep in mind, I've got land, I've got horses and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So before I left, part of my jobs around the house was to go out and take care of all the horses. I'd ride them, run them, and everything else. When I came home, I couldn't do that because I couldn't sit on the horse. I could sit on him, but if he started walking, I couldn't handle it. It hurt. Most of my time was spent for the while after I actually got out of the hospital and came back to Oklahoma. Most of my time was spent laying on a couch. I couldn't do much. If I could walk, I had to be on a cane. I couldn't do anything hardly. And so the agitation there of me not being able to actually work, outside the home. Now, I was still getting paid by the Army.
Sure.
There wasn't a problem with money at all. But I couldn't do anything outside the house. I couldn't mow. I couldn't do anything else. So there was agitation on my part, being frustrated I'm stuck there, and on her part that I'm stuck there. And so that added to the tension between us, which ultimately led to the divorce.
Unbelievable.
On top of that, nightmares. I had nightmares so badly when I first came home that I slept on the couch so that it wouldn't wake her up and wouldn't wake the kids up. Well, what was really kind of, I guess, the death knell for the marriage was she told me, I'm going to start, because our boy was really small still, and she was trying to get him back into his own bed. She said, I'll get him back into his own bed, and as your nightmares calm down, come back to bed. It's like, okay, great. Well, two and a half years later, I'm still on the couch. And at that point, I was like, okay, I've had enough. We're either going to have to change or something. So when I told her that, and she says, yeah, we're going to have to change. You need to go ahead and move out.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Well, what was the underlying premise to it, sir? I mean, I just don't understand. I don't understand why a woman would leave a man because he got wounded serving his country.
She was just unhappy, and I had been gone so much prior to that it was just she decided she didn't want to be married to me anymore.
Now, don't you? No, and I hate, and I don't mean to put you on a spot like this, sir. And if you don't want to answer it, I completely understand. But I mean, you said she was somewhat feminist, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah. When we first met, she was. I mean, I've always been. I grew up I was raised, a cowboy. We grew up on a farm, and in rural Oklahoma, and in those areas, you're taught as a guy growing up. You're respectful. You open doors. You pay the tab. You
sure.
You hold hands. You extend offer your arm and go to something to a formal event, things like that. And so I grew up doing that. Well, when I met my wife, she wouldn't let me do that. She didn't want me opening doors for her. She didn't want me doing anything like that. That was her. She was her thing. She wanted to be the one in charge of her own side of it. Nothing. She wouldn't let me pay for anything until we got married. Now, once we got married, that all changed because my civilian job is a financial advisor, and if you know anybody who's in the industry, we make a pretty decent living. And so she was able to let me cover the house payments, let me cover all the bills and everything else.
Sure.
Well, she took care of the kids, and she actually stayed home. She became a stay-at-home mom and homeschooled the kids. That was her part of it. My part was go out and make a living. Her part was stay home and take care of the kids, homeschool them.
Sure, and she was okay with that?
Yeah, it was her idea.
Oh, really? And this was a feminist saying it was okay.
Yeah, and keep in mind when we met, she was a liberal. She was a staunch liberal. She was a Clinton fanatic. And when Bush was running, she's like, I hate that man. I was like, oh, I love that man. And now she's actually a Republican. She's pretty conservative. And she's still a stay-at-home mom. She works in the evenings, and I think she works part-time. And through the divorce settlement, the judge, she ordered me to pay roughly $5,000 a month in between alimony and child support.
Oh my gosh! You know how many times I've heard that, sir, and it just
keep in mind that's less than half my monthly income.
Oh, my gosh. You know how many times I've heard this? I've heard a story where a man, worked hard 10 hours a day. The woman, was okay with not working, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Stayed at home with the children, raised the children. And while the man was at work, I guess, the woman just got bored. And because the feminist movement thinks that, well, you're liberated now, you can do what you want to do. She already, went down the street, hopped on the guy that, I don't know who it was some neighbor of some sort. He came home early one day, caught him in bed together.
He got caught with alimony in bed.
And this poor man, not only did he, because he had to file for divorce because, she was a philanderous piece of just ridiculous garbage.
Right.
He filed for divorce, and then he got hit up not only with alimony because, he had 3 children with her, child support. She took 50% of what he earned, or what he had, and after everything was said and done, the man had literally like $80 a week.
And that's just ridiculous. I mean,
to take home in pay. And you see, look, I'm not a woman hater, just like what all these people in the chat room were saying. I'm not some chauvinist like these people are claiming. I just think that there's an element of just hypocrisy with that.
Going to be. There's, they try to say that justice is blind. That justice isn't blind. What you find is all these different movements over the years, whether it be the feminist movement or the civil rights movement or any movement, whether it has to do with gender or race or industry. It doesn't matter what it has to do with. It's like look at illegal drugs. The reason opium was made illegal. The reason opium was made illegal is because the Chinese smoked it in the 1800s, and they provided cheaper labor, and they wanted to give more jobs to the Americans, so they said, okay, opium's illegal, and through that they arrest more Chinese and give them more Americans jobs. So there's always, it's never, justice is supposed to be blind, but it's not always blind, maybe nearsighted or blurred, but not blind like it should be. But,
I absolutely agree.
kind of a good note about my ex-wife is I have a second job I do on the side is I write music. I do orchestras for different TV shows and movies. I do transposition, stuff like that. And the BBC contacted me, and believe me, I don't like the BBC at all. They're like the French with British accents.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they contacted me back in 2003 and said, hey, we have a piece for you. It's a piano piece. Will you transpose it to an orchestra for us for a TV show? I said, sure, why not? And because the royalties off that, I got off that, I just handed that over to my ex-wife and said, here, this will settle for my alimony and stuff. She took that, asked for the forgiveness of my alimony through the courts. The courts granted it. She's got that, and then from this point on until my boy is 18, or she remarries, whichever, I pay. She gets 1/2 of my royalties that I get every year, which will come out to like $40 grand a year, I think. Something
Man,
like that.
she's living pretty well.
Yeah, but she, like that, she gave back. You know, it was about 72 grand that I was having to pay out. So she gave me back 32 grand because she didn't need it, and she thought, I really don't need this much money. You know, we can settle it this way. So I paid off the house, and then handed her my check, my royalty check. Signed it over to her and said, here you go.
Well, I tell you, sir, you are a very good, fine American. You know, I mean, you know, just to go back to that one story I was telling you about the man that was left with $80 a week to spend after alimony, and this is after he caught his wife philandering around on him.
Crazy.
What ended up happening is that he ended up sending his children certified letters, and it stated in the letter, look, it was either I kill myself or kill your mother, or just leave. Yeah, I hope you understand, and when you're 18, you can come by and visit me. And the guy left the country. I mean, the guy went to Paraguay, and right now he's living a good life, started a new family, and, you know, he's living great out there in Paraguay. But isn't that a shame that we're living in a day and age that this system, and you see, I mean, I'm just criticized all the time because I'm trying to bring up this subject matter, and it's a serious subject matter.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I agree with you 100% there. Now, one thing I will disagree with you on is that divorce should be made illegal.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that as just a possibility.
Right.
I mean, because
I think spousal homicide would go up 500% if you did that.
Well, I'm sure it would, but then again, I would hope that people would think twice before going into marriage casually, and that sort of thing. I mean, you know, with all due respect to you, sir, I think the reason that female left you was because she thought, oh, this is a casual thing. I mean, I don't need him anymore. I need to be happy. I'm going to do what I want to do because I'm liberated. Instead of, you know, being by your side, being a good mother, being a good wife, you know, staying there next to you, you know, helping you when you're most in need, and it's a shame, man.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you on the good side. After my divorce, I met a girl who it's kind of funny. I actually met her through an ad on Craigslist. She was selling some hunting stuff, and I went to buy, and we met that way. But I'm a big hunting guy, hunting and fishing. Anyway, so I met her, and we started dating. And she knows about everything that's happened in the past, you know, through the combat and the divorce. She knows about everything. And
sure,
she's actually willing. We'll be laying in bed together, and we go to a movie or whatever, and we'll lay down and go to sleep. And I can have some kind of a crazy-ass nightmare that freaks me out, wakes me up, you know, I'm cold sweat, and sometimes I wake up with a scream where I call out an artillery coordinate or something.
Yeah.
You know, and she'll realize what's going on. Never once has she made me go to the couch. All she does is kind of snuggle up to me and try to comfort me. So,
well, you know, yeah, and congratulations to you, sir, because I'm telling you, it's hard to find good women nowadays. I mean, I've been married for a long time. And let me tell you something. I would lay down my life for my wife because she's probably the most precious thing that has ever come into my life. And to be honest with you, sir, it's because, you know, we based our relationship behind, you know, actual love, actual affection, unconditional, that sort of thing.
Right.
And that's all I'm basically trying to say when I talk against the feminist movement, is that the feminist movement has killed that.
Right.
I mean, it has killed genuine emotion. It's all about me when it comes to the feminist movement.
Yeah, and the girl I'm seeing now, my girlfriend, she's not a feminist. As a matter of fact, there have been times just to kind of keep the peace, because I don't like confrontation. I haven't really liked it so much since I came home.
Sure, of course not.
And I've
you shouldn't deserve it, sir. I mean, you're a patriot.
Well, even between me and my girlfriend, I try to avoid it sometimes, and she'll turn around and get mad at me. She goes, "No, I just want you to take charge. Just be a man. Be the man." I was like, "Fine, all right. Get your ass in the car."
Well, I'm not talking about that, but although, if a woman likes that, I mean, I guess, by all means, I'm just simply stating the hypocrisy of the feminist movement.
Oh, I definitely agree with you on that. I've seen that for a long time, and I've looked at the hypocrisy through all kinds of movements, whether it's the feminist movement or it's the environmental movement. I mean, oh God, don't get me started on the
yeah, don't even. I'm actually going to do a show next week about the farce of global warming. Let me tell you something. It was who stated that recently? I think it was Greenpeace. That one of the founders of Greenpeace recently admitted that the whole environmental movement has been hijacked by socialists.
Well, shit, Greenpeace themselves are pretty much socialists. I mean, look at those guys that come flying up on on ships and do quasi-military tactics on these ships that are out there, and they wonder, they're lucky they don't get their asses run over and mowed under the water.
Absolutely, and the other half or it's not, I think it's 80% or 85% are socialists, and the other percent that aren't socialists, these are people that actually worship the earth.
Okay.
I mean, these are like God. They think of the earth as a god. So, in the name of the earth, they'll go out and they'll go blow up supposed industrial manufacturing plants that they deem as hurting the earth. They put, I don't know if you're familiar with this, they put these like metal kind of metal strips or something inside the trunks of trees, so that when a logger is attempting to cut down a tree with a chainsaw, the chainsaw will bust and kind of explode in his face and act as shrapnel because of the ricochet back from hitting that particular metal.
Well, actually, I have not seen that, but I will tell you though, on the global warming thing, one of the big debates about it is whether or not the global warming is happening, but whether or not it's human caused. And of course, I think it's a big pile of shit. Now, the global warming itself, I do think is happening, but I don't think it's any fault of our own. I think
that's my point.
It's a normal environmental climatic cycle. It happens over and over and over and over, and we're just seeing it. But being people, the first thing we're going to do is try to make a pattern out of it that we've caused it. And
well, you know what it is. Global warming is basically an excuse for these, bookworm scientists to continue to get government funding.
Get money, yeah.
Yeah, to get government funding to study this ridiculous concept. And I went to college. I studied geology for a good year and a half. The geologic record shows that not only has the Earth gone through ice ages and flood stages. I mean, there's been magnetic reversals.
Oh yeah, hell, we just had a mini ice age that ended around 1900, 1906. I
mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they're trying to blame they're trying to blame the people. But I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with the Kyoto Treaty. But thank God George W. Bush did not sign that Kyoto Treaty, because in that,
it turned out to be a big deal. Some of the countries who signed it are now saying they wish they hadn't.
Of course. I mean, not only are they ruining jobs for people in certain industries deemed environmentally friendly, they also wanted to tax generations for breathing.
This is crazy.
For breathing. And at the same time, you've got the leader of PETA recently stated that the leading cause of global warming is cow farts.
Yeah.
I mean, can you believe this garbage?
It's funny how PETA wants to step in and they want to save all the cute animals, but the ugly big ones, they screw them, because he even said kill off the cows.
Yeah.
To get rid of them, because they're they're farts the methane. I hate to tell them, but there's a lot more people on the planet than there are cows, and we fart methane too.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. I just don't understand. I don't understand the mentality of these people. But
well, it kind of goes to those people wanting, Obama and Clinton both right now saying they want to register our guns, the gun owners.
That's a whole other issue as well. I tell you, if they decide to outlaw guns, the only people that are going to have guns are the outlaws.
Right. And in my closet, I've got an arsenal.
Same here, sir. I have as many guns as I am legally able to keep without being considered stockpiling.
Exactly. But all for the most part, pretty much all of mine are hunting rifles. The biggest one I have is a 50 caliber. Yes, I have a 50 caliber.
Oh, is that the Desert Eagle?
No, I'm talking about it's a rifle.
Oh, the rifle.
Yeah.
I see it. Well, sir, we're almost out of time. I wanted to thank you for sharing your story with us, and I really appreciate your insight. Thank you for serving our country, sir. You're a true patriot, and everybody out there that was fighting on the front lines with you deserve our utmost respect, even though if these liberals say all kinds of slanderous things against our troops. Us true Americans, we respect you, we thank you for your service, and I thank you for your time this evening, sir.
All right, well, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Well, that was that right there was a patriot, a United States soldier that came back after several tours into the theaters of combat. He comes back, and I guess his feminist wife she just got unhappy because the poor man got wounded, shattered his hip in the theater of combat, and she decided she was bored, and because of woman liberation, she's just going to go ahead and relieve herself of the marriage because Gloria Steinem said so. And this is what I've been talking about, folks. All right, and I know we were talking about the racism of the Democratic Party, and believe me, for all the African Americans contingents that are listening into this program, I think they need to demand reparations, but not from the government. African Americans need to demand reparations from the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party. Because they're the ones who invented the Ku Klux Klan. They were the ones that were opposed to the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. They were the ones opposed to all the civil rights acts. Like I've stated before, and people aren't going to believe me, when Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, the 13th Amendment, emancipating the slaves, it was passed by 100% of Republicans. And only 23% of Democrats. The 14th Amendment that attempted to give the newly emancipated blacks the full civil rights and federal guarantee of those rights, superseding any state's laws, what happened? Every single Republican voted for it, and how many Democrats voted for it? None. The 15th Amendment, guaranteeing the right for blacks to vote, every single Republican voted for it. And how many Democrats voted for it? Zero. So I'm telling all the African American contingent out here, the Republican Party, no matter what the Democratic liberal propaganda machine tries to fool you into believing, the Republican Party was founded on abolitionism, on racial equality. And if you don't believe me, look it up. Look up why the Republican Party was formed. It was formed in 1854 to abolish slavery and to challenge other racist legislative acts that were initiated by the Democrats. And that's why I had this show, but unfortunately we took a sidetrack because, of course, I'm the big bad wolf. I'm a big bad man over here because I'm trying to facilitate debate against feminism. And of course we got people in here just agitating. You know what, Wake Up Call Show, I agree with you. You know what, we don't agree on certain issues, but I'm glad that you see what the hypocrisy that's going on. You see the hypocrisy that's going on. I mean, look at political vindication. You want to know why he called up here and talked all his garbage? You want to know why? Because I dissed his little butt boy, Ed Morrissey. You know, his little blogger clique. You know? That's why he's so upset. He doesn't care about my views. He's just sad that I made fun of his little homeboy over there. He knows it and I know it. And the reason I don't like Ed Morrissey because he's a damn social liberal, regardless of what people want him to believe. So anyway, folks, and I agree with you, Wake Up Call Show. As you can see, they're trying to suppress my viewpoint, and that's liberalism. You know, even though these people are trying to disguise themselves behind a Republican cloak, these people are closet liberals. And that's why yesterday I stated, and I'm sorry, folks, I don't mean to generalize the Republican Party. I don't mean to generalize the Republican Party. But they have been hijacked. It has been hijacked by social liberals. By social liberals. And because I, stated, Ed Morrissey's a social liberal, he's a piece of garbage, and all these dumbass little blogger cliques are ridiculous, you got this little idiot Shane over here, trying to take up, and say, look at me, I'm Mr. Feminist, and I'm here to save the day. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I got my reasons. The only reason I'm not answering your call because I didn't appreciate what you did to me on your show, sir. I always give you and your progressive left-wing ideology the time to come up on here and say your views, and I don't appreciate what you did to me on your show, so that's why I'm not answering your call. So you can go ahead and hang up now. You can go ahead and hang up because I'm not gonna answer your call. I'll answer it next time, but you're on my bad list. You're on my bad list. But anyway, like I've stated, folks, the Democrats are they're all a bunch of hypocrites. They're racist, and if the black community and all the minorities can see through this garbage, try to remember that the Democrats are a bunch of racists. A bunch of racists. They invented the Ku Klux Klan. They were against the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, and I think that African Americans should demand reparations from the Democratic Party. And I know, Jen over here, she's like, oh my God, look at me, I got a show, and I'm going to utilize Ghost's show to try to springboard my show into triple digits. Go ahead and do it, Jen, all right? You're a laughing stock. You should see what your other conservative Republicans that are all of a sudden on your side when it comes to this chat room say about you on other shows. I think you're ridiculous. I have yet to hear somebody say, you know what, that Jen, she throws some good points. Everybody thinks you're ridiculous. And to be honest with you, most of the conservatives on here are ridiculous as well. I mean on Blog Talk Radio, that is. These Ed Morrissey, social liberals, all this crap. Hey, and I admit it. I admit it. These people that are claiming themselves to be conservatives are all social liberals, and I'm calling all of them out. All of them. Political vindication, Ed Morrissey, that idiot Moran, all those dumb broads that are trying to call themselves conservative. Take the conservative out of your name. You're a social liberal. You're ruining our party. Get the hell out of my party. Get the hell out of here. Anyway, folks, it's about time for me to just get the hell out of here. I literally want to puke up. I literally want to puke up right now. But just remember, to all my African-American contingent that watches this show, demand reparations from the Democratic Party because they invented the Ku Klux Klan. Do your history yourself if you don't believe me. These people are lying to you. They're just trying to appease you with entitlement programs to subjugate you as a permanent underclass so they can continue to pander to you for votes. So demand your reparations from the Democratic Party. Anyway, folks, I am out of here. I will be here on Friday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Be here. I'm broadcasting every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 9 p.m. Central Time. I'm out of here. This is Ghost. God bless America. Death to feminism. And long live the conservative movement. And I'm out.